Welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Peter Martin. I'm delighted to say Bobby Bluebell is my special guest, or Robert Hodgson to give you your true title. But I'll always remember you as Bobby Bluebell from now until eternity. And I'm going to make you feel really old because, Bobby, quite simply, I used to go to school and I'd go and I'd say, listen, by the way, I've got this 12-inch version of a great song. I think I was in maybe 5th year and I was like, it's Cath. And I couldn't stop playing it. And little did I know that some 40 years later, I'd be sitting here in the studio with you. And
we are.
and that kind of that whole era for you was that I would be loath to say it's your 15 minutes of fame, but it was certainly the start of it.
Yeah, it was the most exciting period. I think all people in bands would tell you the same thing, that nothing beats the start. You know, the excitement of being with your friends in the back of a van, or doing your first gigs, or buying your first guitars, and it's the realization is great, but the anticipation is definitely the secret, I think.
Yeah, you didn't start off wanting to be a pop star.
I did actually. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. When I wanted to be in a band, the whole point was to be to be popular, and pop star means popular. I wanted to be on top of the pops, because funny, at that time, it was the one way your parents, probably the same as like football players, the minute you're on TV, your parents give you a certain amount of credibility that you can make a living that way, whereas before they would just laugh at you. You know, my dad was different. My mum was always say, got to get a real job, and I was going, this is a real job, you know. I mean, I'm not doing it, it's not a hobby, you know. So, but definitely wanted to make it, you know what I mean.
Yeah. From what age?
Successful. Oh, that was like, well, I probably didn't touch a guitar till I was about 15, 16, and then I wanted to be an artist. I did design at college, but once I got the bug for music, I had a fanzine. I started doing a fanzine, and part of the reason I did a fanzine was to show off my design skills, and but I had to make up bands, because at that time there was probably about 2 bands in Glasgow, one of them being Simple Minds. And, you know, very few bands, all the images were going. So I had to make up bands to put in the pages, and sometimes people would say to me, who's that band? So one day in particular, Alan Horn, who was a postcard writer, said, who's this band, Hodgie? And I goes, oh, they're really good, you know, they didn't exist, you know. So he said, can you send me, I want to hear one of the songs. So I had to go home and record the song, you know, with my basic skills at that point. And I played it to him, and he goes, that's pretty good, I'd like to go and see them now. So right away I was in a lot of trouble, you know. I had to kind of get a band together, and luckily Jerry McElhone, who was managing all the images at the time, he got me a band together from Govan Hill. We supported all the images at the bungalow, and that was really the basis of me changing my focus from design into music.
That's one of the best sliding doors moments I've ever heard.
It was a sliding door moment. I was in Glasgow that time because I was going to a lot of gigs on my own, you know, like, because Glasgow's that kind of place, you know. If you have to kind of like, if you want to leave your school behind, you kind of have to, you know, dig your own furrows. I mean, you have to kind of go on your own path. So I was going to a lot of gigs on my own. I looked very geeky, had blue National Health glasses, and I had that duffel coat, and so you kind of, I've noticed other people there who looked, there'd obviously be a lot of gangs and Neds there, right? You would be the target for the gangs and Neds, you know, but I seem to avoid that usually. And then you'd see other people who were standing on their own, and you think, I wonder what they do. And you talk to them, and then you find most of them, you find that, I like bands, I'm in a band, and that would be the business. Like you had Graham Skinner on a few weeks ago, that's how I met Graham. He worked in the Rock Garden, and he had a band, you know, called Kites at the time. So that's, it's like you start up a rapport, you know.
Did you always sense that you had that ability to write a good song, or was it just something that you just thought, I'll have a wee shot at this?
Oh no, I mean, it's funny. It's like girls are a big thing. I mean, chatting up a girl. The minute you start to say you're in a band, I noticed right away that there was a lot more interest. I mean, or a DJ, you know, thinking, what? Hold on, you know, it's like it kind of like took you part. Oh, you look weird on purpose. I get you now, right? You know, like so. I remember reading later on. I read a lot of books of music, a lot of people, Elvis Costello's and even Dylan and all that, that was a big factor in especially, I mean, I remember even Paul Simon saying something like he never had a girlfriend till he got a guitar, you know. So these are things that, I mean, I guess it's different now, but I mean, but it certainly worked back then.
Yeah, and with that in mind, you mentioned there the rock garden. There was a whole team of people there, a whole group of people who were talented. I mean, you came from, I mean, a real, what I would call a golden generation of talent at your school.
It's a very good point, Peter. At that time, I would say everybody who was in the rock garden was in a band, and every one of those bands got a deal and made records, like from Hitsway to Odd Images to Texas to, you know, to Friends Again. James Grant obviously loved money. I can't think of anybody in there. Spaghetti Factory was another kind of hub that didn't really get a deal, because at that point we'd played maybe 2 or 3 gigs when we were on the front cover of the Melody Maker, and we were already getting offers. And I don't think people had even heard us. I think, and then when they did hear us, I remember thinking, they don't think we're terrible, which you would assume an expert from London would think. Ah, guys, okay, that was quite funny. You know,
keep trying.
You tricked us. You know, right? But they didn't. They seemed to, and then when you get people like Elvis Costello and Mick Hayward really liking your music at an early stage and invite you to record you or go on tour with them, then I mean, I hero worship Elvis Costello, man. You know, like, and when you meet him, we were very irreverent with him. You know, like very. We weren't like pupils at all. He treated us like equals. Yeah. And that's very encouraging as well. I mean, you know. Did you say? I mean,
what was the attraction? You know, from an excuse the pun, from an Elvis Costello point of view, was it the fact you thought to himself, well, wait a minute, you know, you obviously highlighted there, you're looking at kind of a geeky way that people think he's a wee bit.
That's a very big thing about it. So, when he came to see us at ICA in London, we were wearing these kind of blue Wrangler Bluebell jackets, you know, and we all had them on, and we had a 12-string guitar, and we had 3 singers, me, Ken, and Russell were singing, and we had harmonies, and this is a time when it was all like the Cure and the Banshees and all that, and like quite dark music. Yeah. And afterwards, he came up and said, I don't like to swear, but he said that's incredible. Yeah. I goes, I'm glad you liked it. He goes, no, that's incredible. He just looked like that. He bought my guitar off me, which I'd never sold.
Is that right?
But he was really focused on the fact that you look like a band, and he said, people don't understand how important that is. That you look like a group already. You look like you're best friends. You look like you're having the best time in the world. You look like you don't care. And then he said, he's all sing really well, and so he took us to the studio the very next day to record, and then we started doing the album with him, and he took us on tour a few times. He was great. He would send you things like, he would send you cassettes of songs that you'd never heard. You know, he would say, look, and I used to think, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because it would influence your songwriting, whereas I didn't really want influence, but he would send you songs that he thought that are bands that he thought you sounded like, and then you learned in a really good way. No, he's right. It helps you focus. You know that it helps you fine tune what you're trying to achieve. I guess football teams are showing clips of old games or other matches. It helps them to see the picture.
It's an inspiration. I mean, I mean, Costello, I didn't know what he looked like originally. All I knew was, you know, watching The Detectives and I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea came out, and I thought, this is bloody great.
We were working with him, and he just turned to country music at that point. He did a song called Psycho and Almost Blue album, and that was just a fantastic period. He's a really great guy, man. A really lovely guy.
But see that point, I know you don't want to swear, but I'll do it for you. You've in the first 5 minutes of this programme, I'm thinking, he is the luckiest bastard I've ever met. I mean, I pick up the guitar, I write a song under pressure, next minute they take me here. You know, I mean, it's...
I think we were very lucky. I mean, even I think about it now, you know, there's highs and lows, but so, I mean, to even think for a second that you get in the charts, obviously our records are tour the world and go around the world meeting people like you've got upstairs in your room, your Dylans and McCartneys and stuff like that. That's. I mean, you're always a fan, you know what I mean? Right? But then in the end, it's like we got a saying in the music business, just being in the room sometimes is an achievement. I mean, you know, just to be in the same place at the same time as people like that are working, you know, you learn so much and you see so much, you know.
Yeah, and with that band in mind, in those early days, you've got the McCluskey brothers, you've got a great sound. I mean, Cath was a collection of songs that I thought at the time, it was just of our generation. We loved it, we could relate to it. Yeah, even although I know Young at Heart had a renaissance later on. But, you know, that whole collection of songs.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I was really lucky meeting Ken David. I met Ken David because I was writing about their band, Rodale, for the fanzine. I was really taken with David, the younger brother. He was a great drummer, you know. And through him I met Ken, and Ken was living in London at the time. I was singing, but Ken would come down and jam with us, and I was like, he looks great. I had a kind of birds thing with me singing and Ken playing the tambourine and singing too, so we really liked that look. But then Ken was just obviously a better singer than me and a really great frontman, because the only fallback I'll be on TV is you can go through this kind of panic phase where you think you look like a complete geek on TV. You know, I went through that phase where, you know, where you're thinking, I lost a lot of confidence rather than got it. You know, thinking, look. You'd never seen yourself before. Don't forget, there was no cameras.
There's no reference point, is there?
And you're thinking, I remember I'd watch myself think, is that me? I mean,
did you have an insecurity with it?
Of course I did, yeah. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people in the music business overcome this insecurity by going on stage. The people you meet, who you think are going to be the most confident people in the world, aren't until they've got a camera in front of them. Otherwise, there's a lot of people there. I mean, yeah, it is a strange feeling. I mean, to be, you know, a young boy and then to see yourself, you know, and your family watching it, and like your teeth are all sticking out, and your glasses are like, you know. So yeah, of course, I did lose a lot of confidence out of that. Cause I did think I looked geekier, man, you know.
There must have been a tremendous pride, though, because I don't know if it's. I said to Graham Skinner and I've said to James Grant, because we come from this area, because you get that association at that time, growing up in the 80s, and of course it was Thatcher's Britain, and you're trying to break out of the vicious circle that's you know, keeping everybody down in the country. People like yourselves, there was a pride in thinking. I mean, I remember hearing Cath and I thought, I want that song to be even bigger than it is.
It's a strange thing you say that, because that's a really good point. It's funny, like in 2014, without getting too political, we were all very pro independence because we kind of grew up in an independent music scene, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And we were all very proud of being a Scottish band, and a big part of it was the fact that we were a Scottish band. That was because before there wasn't really a Scottish music scene. Simple Minds obviously had a lot to do with that and all the images, but we're the ones that really rode the crest of it. I don't mean us personally. I mean us and Hitsway and Orange Juice and Aztec Camera and all the bands that came through at that time, Lloyd Cole, and we were all benefit from being specifically Scottish. And even when we went to America and Spain and Germany, being Scottish was a big selling point, not from our point of view, from theirs.
Yeah.
You know, like it was, and it's funny, Scotland was really coming into focus at that point. It's been its own identity, you know, like football had a big part to do with it. We were qualifying for World Cups. Our fans were getting a really good reputation around the world for being, you know, born bevers, as they call it,
absolutely,
like living the good life, right? And at that point, England was riddled with hooliganism, you know, and we were the kind of like the opposite, the antidote to that, if you get my drift, you know. And the English music scene is always brilliant, English music scene, but I think people quite enjoyed the deflection, because when the Beatles came along, a big part of the Beatles was the fact they delivered Liverpudlian accents, and BBC and the media was so concentrated on proper English.
Yes, it was regimented. Yeah,
so they were a breath of fresh air to the English music scene, and then we became a breath of fresh air to the British music scene, and then the Irish music scene that followed us was a breath of fresh air.
And subsequently, there's a wee spin-off of a group of people, you know, from Liverpool, as you say, to Scotland to Ireland. But the one thing that's a driving force, and I don't want you to undersell yourself on this, was the fact that the talent, the songs, you have to have that.
I think the one thing, it's like we went. when Young at Heart was a big #1 hit, there was a period where it was treated a little bit like, say, you know, like a novelty song, which is it's going to happen to any song. I was watching Robbie Williams the other day, right, in that documentary, and Angels is a really good song, right? But people became sick of it because it was omnipresent.
Yeah.
People became sick of Young at Heart because there wasn't. I mean, it was a massive hit, you know, and it was a massive radio hit, and it was on everything.
Too popular.
Yeah, exactly. That's could become a. And Terry Wogan's using it for his, you know, his radio program for his, what do you call his old folk thing. And all
it's like Love Is All Around for Wet, Wet, Wet.
Yes.
It's Bryan Adams, Everything I
exactly.
Do. You know.
Now we've kind of got back into the sense because of people like the Pastels and Pete Papidis and lots of people in the music business who've got a lot of cachet for, you know, for understanding new music. I've rediscovered us and saying, well, you know, it wasn't your fault that became omnipresent, and like you said, that song is probably the least indicative of what we sounded like, you know. We did that song that way because I did the song with Bananarama, and
did you write it all, or did Siobhan have it?
Siobhan did it together, but I did it for the Bluebells, and she was starting to write songs. She wanted to write songs. I mean, and then she did it with Bananarama, right? And I remember going to the studio when they did it and thinking, oh, this isn't.
Oh, you wanted it?
Yeah, or her, to be fair, right? You know, and then we used to do it. We did it live, Northern Soul, that version, but we had the chorus in. They didn't even put the Young at Heart bit in it, you know.
Right.
Which we did in telly, right? And then I remember Roger Abrams saying to us, the head of the record company, it was also their record company, you should do that. You should do that.
Yeah.
Because it's better than theirs, and I'll put it out as a single. But when we went to do it, we wanted to make it as different as possible from
Bananarama. Was Siobhan miffed?
Not at all, no. And I remember thinking, well, a lot about to do with Elvis too. Elvis was sending me a lot of Dylan stuff, and there was a Dylan song called I Want You, you know, Want You, so I thought, well, that's pretty similar chords to Young at Heart, and I really like that kind of...
The vibe of it.
Yeah, and I was really a big fan of a band called the GSD Band, who had a song called Jigga Jig.
Right.
So I really wanted to get the fiddles in it, and I'm really a big fan of, especially Because I Love You by Slade, right? You know, they have
in a strange sort of way.
You can hear it in it.
Well, not only that, but the song has. You talk about that you wanted the violins in it, you know, but it's not the be all and end all of it, but it's just the absolute epicenter of why people are hooked on it. It's the opening riff to Baker Street. You know, suddenly you get the sax and you think, bloody hell.
We did it in Burness, and we didn't have the fiddle, we didn't do the fiddle, we had to come down and get a fiddle player to do that. And we tried to get that girl from Dexys, Helen O'Hara, right?
Yeah.
And they were on the same label too, and Roger, who'd put out Come On Eileen, the record, the record company owner guy, he said, well, you can't, I won't let her do that because it's going to make it too, you know, the symbiosis be too close. We were real big friends with Kevin and Dexys and all that. So the producer Colin, who was doing the record at the time with us, he got Bobby to come along and do it. He was playing with the Style Council.
Yeah.
And he played great on it. And the thing is, but it's all it is just the riff on the guitar, right? But the thing is, we knew the fiddle was going to be the thing that made it different from Bananarama version.
Yes.
We knew it was going to be David's drums are so important on it, and we got this guy. Again, it was Elvis's idea, or I think it was Elvis's idea, to get this guy Billy Brenner, who was in Dave Edmunds' Rock Pile.
Right.
Because the guitar picking on country records is so important, you know. It's like so he's doing this kind of like syncopated guitar part, which really fitted Lawrence's bass line. Lawrence was doing kind of jokey.
Is that like Dave Edmunds' Queen of Hearts?
Yeah. So all the backing track was just, even without the music, you know, I mean, without the singing, it's really driving it, and it's very, very, for me, akin to I Want You by Bob Dylan. If you listen to that without the singing, just two beautifully played songs, and then once you put the singing on it, it just really added to it, and you know, and also the fact that when we wrote lyrics, and it is about our parents, and it is about, you know, there we are in Holborn. Siobhan's from an Irish immigrant family, right? You know, whose dad was served in the British Army. My dad was a Rangers fan, my mum was an Italian Catholic, we were from Govan, so we were both kind of like outside of the society that we lived in at the time. You know, my dad worked in Gimmer shipyards, but he didn't give a fuck about burying a challenge. I mean, like, but and all his friends accepted it. You know, there was no subconscious bias.
Yeah.
She was a very beautiful woman as well, which really helped.
Yeah.
So we both spoke about how we weren't aware of any of this background because no one tells you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, and you don't remember it at the time. But later on, when my dad was telling me about it all, and Siobhan was telling me about her dad being, you know, like an Irish Republican in the British Army, you know, how difficult that was when they went. He joined. A lot of Irishmen joined the British Army because of the money, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and to get a job. So that's how we came about. You know, how come I love them now? How come I love them more when all I wanted to do when I was old was to walk out the door, right? You know.
Yeah.
And
it's great for you that you managed to encapsulate that, though.
I think I did. And the thing is, like, and the inspiration was the film Young at Heart, which we were watching on TV, Frank Sinatra, and I was saying to Siobhan, that's my dad's favourite film, you know, right?
Yeah.
And right away, I kind of got the guitar out, and I was trying, you know, I was singing to her for a laugh, Young at Heart, that version, and then we just started jamming a little bit of the chords, and then we started to write down the words, you know, like Young at Heart, there's not a chance. I mean, married young for love at last, because my dad said they couldn't have sex till they're married. and then all of a sudden you've got kids, and my dad worked since he was 16 in the shipyards till he retired, so he never had anything, and all he ever said to me was, don't care what you do as long as you don't do what I did, or this is pointless.
It was a great way that a lot of families would say, I'm going to graft, but I want to try and get you over the bridge to better things.
And that's what they did. And the thing is, and then you realise later on when you have your own kids, what a tremendous sacrifice
they've made.
I mean, my dad would laugh. You know, he'd say how much money you're making, and you'd tell him. And he'd say, that's more money I'll make my whole life. And he wasn't saying it out of sadness or badness or jealousy.
Probably pride.
It was exactly. I mean, you talk to Jim Kerr, and you'll talk to all these football players, and they'll tell you all their parents. I mean, it is I've said it before in interviews, but to go home, right, and hear your dad talking to the neighbours about him having he's got a Marshall stack and he's got his Gibson Les Pauls. I mean, like, you know, and I talk about things that are out of there and getting it a little bit wrong, you know, like, you know, and you're having a laugh, right? You know, he's out and he's doing Top of Pops on it, man. I think, you know, I think Ken's singing live, but they're miming. I mean, like, you know, like, want to know every detail. You know, right? Oh, where are you today, son? You know, and it's his landlines, you know. I'm in Cologne, right? You know, right? All right, you know, right? Say hello to them for me. You know, to who? To anybody in Cologne. You know, right? You know. I mean, and then I remember I used to write home postcards every city I went to, back to my mum and dad.
Brilliant.
And then my mum and dad, when I was clearing the house, you find all the postcards that I'd written them.
That must have been emotional.
It was. I remember me and my brother was clearing out the house. You know, my mum and dad were both dead, and it is quite a strange process, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess that's going to happen to us as well. So.
And the greatest compliment.
Your house, you're going to.
No, my daughter's going to just sell everything.
Listen,
I was going to say to you
the gold mine.
The funny thing I was going to say to you though is, well, the great thing and the compliment about it all, because of the background, the society we're living in, the way you were brought up, which is that kind of a mixed feel about it. You're not affected. I think sometimes, if you know the way your family's put together, you're not affected by what I call the poison of the west of Scotland. You know, and I always...
It's a very manufactured thing. I mean, I'm always to state that. I mean, like you talk about Skin, right? Like, Skin's a Rangers fan, right? We're all friends. It never comes up in any conversation that anyone's saying, right? And don't forget, back in those days, right, we lived next to Ibrox when they had the disaster, right? No one wore tracksuits or tops. You know, right? They were just guys in suits with their hats on. I remember my dad used to dress up to go to football matches. He didn't dress down.
But your story, tell us a story about going to Ibrox with your dad. It's funny.
I said to you before too. My dad being a big Rangers fan, and I knew Martin Bain really well from the club scene in Glasgow. And I don't know how the hell it happened, but he ended up being the managing director of Rangers, right? And one day he phoned up and says, "Do you want to come bring your dad to a Rangers game?" Because he knew my dad was a Rangers fan, right?
Yeah.
I goes, "Yeah, I'm sure." He goes, "Willie Woodburn's going to be there." He was there, right? I told my dad was dead excited. You know, Willie Woodburn was the one of the football players who got banned signed die for being violent, right?
Yeah.
And being from Govan, that's a real badge of honour. I mean, you're so violent, you're banned. You mean forever from football, right?
Yeah.
You headbutted somebody or something before my time. But so my dad gets all dressed up and we go to Ibrox, and it's all Walter Smiths and Ian Durrants. And to be fair to Martin, he really took great care of us, you know. And Ibrox is a very impressive building,
stadium.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're all gentlemen. I mean, if you ignore everything you assume about any club like Celtic, are all Republicans and Rangers are all, because they obviously aren't, right?
Yeah.
You know, but they know that they have that element to them. So they took us round and they showed us everything, and they fed us and all that. And then it took us up to the director's box half time, and we were sitting next to Ian Durrant and Walter Smith, and really, you know, that they were getting, I think it was played Aberdeen, I think they were getting beat as well, man, right? And then at half time, of course, as we're leaving to go downstairs, over comes the tannoy, comes ladies and gentlemen, it's part of the Rangers and the initiative to end bigotry and people, because we've invited well-known Celtic fan Bobby Bluebell and his father to the ground, right? And of course, immediately, Bobby Bluebell, you're a wanker. You know, like, people actually pointed up at us, you know, and my dad stands up because he shouted back at them all, no, he's not a wanker, he's not, right, you know, right, in a really defensive, lovely way, man. I'm going, Dad, stop it, you know, right. So he goes, come on, we're going to go. And he goes downstairs and he goes to the girl, you know, in charge of us, the hospitality girl. Can you bring us a coat and bring us a bill? And the woman goes, oh, Mr. Hodges, there's no bill. You're a guest of the club. I can see him pausing for a second and going, bring us 2 whiskies. and go to take my coat back.
I like your dad's style.
Go back up again, second half, and in the director's box. And by that point, they're singing "Who's the Fenian in the Box," man, right, you know, right? And my dad's pretty much joining in by this point.
But I think the other thing, and you're absolutely right though, because collectively, you know, we as a nation, we do have divisions every now and then. You know, everybody knows about them, but collectively, I think there is a point when you look at people and you say, want them to do well, want them to go and achieve something. And it was at that time, you know, as I look back over, if somebody said to me, give me your favourite albums, although I love the Beatles and you love Bowie and you love Bruce Springsteen, you know, I would look and I'd say to myself, but my real pride is, you know, you look at the Bluebells, loved the Bluebells, loved Simple Minds, loved Stephen Lindsay and the Big Dish.
Horse, brilliant, man.
Horse.
From very near to Horse, brilliant.
Yeah, Loving Money and Hipsway, and you just, and Altered Images, you just had that tremendous pride in them. And as it goes on, when you see a Texas, you think, great, Annie Lennox, unbelievably talented. But there is that sense of
collective thing. We all really want. We all encourage. I mean, it's funny.
Were you pals at that time in '84?
Pals, I mean, we played with Orange Juice. I would use the guitar. The guy, he would just ever give you his guitar. The guitar he was going to use right after you.
Yeah.
You know, all the images. So kind and generous, you know. The first gig I ever played, it was James Kurtz's guitar I used, you know.
Did you not fancy Claire?
No, I knew Claire since I fancied Claire's neighbour. my best pal's sister. That's how I met Claire. We lived next door to each other in Belluston. So I would go there with Paul Devlin, my friend, right, with a crush on his sister, man. Right? And her best pal was Kate, was Claire's sister. Yeah. And that's how I met them. And then, you know, and that's how I met Jerry and Altered Images, because I went to the first Altered Images gig because I knew Claire and the whole thing.
Yeah.
But Glasgow is a really small place, like, and then everybody, there was no jealousy till later on. There was no, not between us, I mean, but
did you not used to fight with Edwin Collins though?
Only in the press, and the thing is, I remember thinking, but you're my pal, and Edwin was very or just being the best band. He didn't like Smiths or us or Buddy Men being successful. Everything in his head was copied from him, right? You know.
Right.
I remember saying to him one time, you know, so hold on, so you're a big Velvet Underground fan, so you can mention the Velvet Underground, and that's okay. You can say, and I'm a big Orange Juice fan, but I'm not supposed to say I really like Orange Juice.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan. I mean, but it's all fine. I mean, it's only in the press. I mean, it's like even when he was slagging me in the press, and he was slagging all the images in the press or anybody. All the Scottish bands he was slagging off, right? Even I take camera. When you slag him back, he would be really upset. I go, well, don't you think maybe we're upset as well? But and then it doesn't matter. I mean, but that was the only time I thought, well, we were on top of Pops at the same time. You know, when you meet people like Deacon Blues and all the Wet Boys, there's always be this great spirit, you know, this great. And then I'm working with Edmund and the Paul Quinn album, you know, when we were #1 in the charts. We were #1 in the charts.
Did you work on Pale Blue Eyes?
No, it was the Paul Quinn record, the original one,
right.
All the original songs. I wrote a lot of the songs.
Brilliant.
Paul Quinn album, and Edmund was producing it, and then we were in the studio, St Clair up in Gallagher when we got to #1 in the charts, and we sat around the radio. And when they said, "Oh, Shaggy, Carolina's #2," we knew we were #1. He was jumping around the room. Is
that right?
It's maybe. I mean, which just shows you the real side of him and the real. He's a fantastic guy. You know, like I mean, of all the songwriters in the world, you know, of all the bands in the world, that's probably probably my favourite. I mean, he's probably the one that I wanted to emulate. Didn't want to obviously emulate Claire, do you mean, or Jim Kerr, but Edmund was the one I thought he had the best style and the best guitars and the best clothes and the best lyrics, and I'm proud to be a fan. Do you know what I mean? I always thought, well, don't make me feel bad for being a fan.
Time is a great healer, though, isn't it?
Listen, of course it is, and not also the whole world was different to us, and it's like you know, it's like when I was living in Glasgow, right, and hanging about with all these great people we talk about, and then one day I meet Siobhan, and I'm literally moving down to London the next day, and all of a sudden I'm hanging about with Kevin Rowlands and Paul Wellers and, you know, and all Siobhan's crowd, right?
Yeah.
And they were just as equally fantastic as the people up here, you know.
Was there anybody that you met that you thought, wow, starstruck?
Of course, all the time. I mean, it's like, you know, when I ended up working with Siobhan's husband, Dave, going around the world, it was all your George Harrisons and Jaggers and Paul McCartney's and Dylan's. You'd be sitting in the room in Dylan, you know, like, and then one time I'm going to meet Lou Reed, and Dave's going to me the whole time, don't mention the Velvet Underground at any single point, you know, like, and the minute he went to the toilet, I'm like, so, Velvet Underground. And I could just see Lou Reed go off. I mean, right. But then 5 minutes later, he's telling you all about his guitar and what because they have. If you're not a journalist, I guess, and you're not, I mean, I'm just a fan. Like, I mean, like Brian Wilson, he was the strangest one of all. Doing I was working with his daughters, Wilson Phillips, and we're recording them in LA, and we did the song right, and they loved the song. And the next day she phones up and she goes, "They could bring my dad to the session. He really likes the song." And Dave's like, "Fucking right, tell him." Yeah. So he comes next day with a film crew. His wife dressed as a nurse. I didn't know it was his wife, right? You know, right? And then Carney and Wendy's his daughters, right? Because he wants to sing on it. We're like, all right. So 8 hours later, he's still singing on it, right? Out of tune like fuck, like. And Dave's going up to wrap this up, and then Carney goes, "Don't worry, the minute the food's finished, you'll sing it properly, right?" You know, and all the treats in the studio are all gone. And Dave goes, "We'll do it one more time." And he goes, "Are we finished?" And then Dave goes, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, let's do one more take." And he sings it perfectly, and I'm like, you know, right?
Brilliant.
He just wanted to hang about the studio, right? And then the next day, Carney from it goes, "Can my dad get a credit on that song?" Because I'm thinking, my first instincts are to go, "No, are you crazy? You didn't write any of it." But then you're thinking, yeah, absolutely. I want my name next to Brian Wilson.
Aye, absolutely.
He's going, "Yeah, of course, man," like, you know. So, I mean, it's no problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, because I remember at the end of he was singing, he goes, "This is a great song." So did I write this? And I'm going, yeah, of course you did.
The other thing about it though is, I mean, as well as that success that the band gets, I think there was a moment where suddenly I started to notice you more, and it was probably because of suddenly there was it's not a notoriety, it's an association, as you say, with people, and you're writing songs for them, and I'm going,
as well, I think.
Well, that's the thing when I started to go, wait a minute, there's Bobby on his own, he worked with these guys, he's working with, you know,
Texas,
Sinead O'Connor, brilliant, you know.
I think the thing was, after the band split up, it wasn't until really recently. By the way, Edwin gave me the name Bobby Bluebell, which funny enough, man, he had a wee song he sang, you know, right, you know, which probably wasn't very flattering song, but because at that point I did look like Joey Ramone, you know, like, and I think so, and I think the alliteration of the BBs together, you know, right, and then when I noticed it most of all when we're in south of France with Dave, right, or going around with Dave. Dave was always anticipated with his Bobby Bluebell, right, and a lot of Americans would assume, "Oh, he must be famous because that's a really
That's a cool name. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Bobby Bluebell, yeah. I mean, like, you meet Tom Petty and David Gold Thomas, he's Bobby Bluebell, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and there'd be no, what do you do?
Yeah.
Just assume right there and then you're in a band or you must be in the music business. So that really helped a lot. And even now, as I get older, my wee boy will come back from school and say, "Are you Bobby Bluebell?" You know, right? And I'll go, "What? Well, yeah." He goes, "Yeah." People in school saying your dad's Bobby Bluebell. He didn't, you know what I mean? Like,
didn't equate it.
He didn't equate it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and it's like, so I'm quite, there's quite a lot of power in that kind of name, you know. There is it's like, it does open doors for you. You can't deny it, man.
Yeah. Is there one artist that you sat down with, you were maybe writing for them, or a particular song, and you just worked with them and you thought, this is a dream?
Well, the dream was Sinéad, like you mentioned, the Connor dream was hearing her singing it. All the songs, I mean, I'm really proud that Texas, because Charlene's a fantastic singer, and me and Johnny are great friends. We go right back to the very start of what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I'll always be proud of the Texas thing, and also they were so successful, and it nothing to do with me. Don't get me wrong, man, I'm really happy to write the songs from, but it's Charlene and the way they record the songs.
Yeah.
They did. I mean,
she's so down to earth though, and so is Johnny.
I could be there for 10 minutes and do my bit, right? But she's got to go around the world doing this, and also all the other songs they write without me are fantastic. I mean, so there's nothing to do. I mean, I'm in the room. I mean, I'm really happy to do it. I'm very proud of the bits that I did. But and the same is like with Dave and Bananaramas and Shakespeare's Sister and all the things I've done. But you're very aware of the fact that it is a technical. The songs are really important, don't get me wrong, right?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, but you're so used to, you know, you got to split these songs. But even if people will write the songs, you know, you're going to have to give up. That's part of the deal. You mean, like, you know, but then you meet people like Sinéad Connor, and I remember after me and her and Shane, and we're absolutely fucking steaming in some club, right? You know, she's a great. Well, man, she's not anymore. But I mean, she's great company, very down to earth. I remember sitting there thinking, "Oh, Sinéad, how do you want me to credit the song?" And she goes, "What do you mean?" I goes, "Well, what do you want me to put your name first?" Or I didn't write any of it, and that was a kind of shock.
Yeah,
she's probably the first person I've ever come across that just no, I didn't write any of it. So it's yours, you know. And then and then she's really nice about it in her book she wrote before she died. She just said what a beautiful song it is, and how when it says it's one of her best vocals. So imagine that makes me feel I could cry when I read that, you know, right? And it's like, and I remember me singing it, even though I could still feel the tingles down my spine, and she had this glow around her, like, you know, her hair was a bit longer then, and she had this kind of halo kind of effect behind her, and it was in Dave's studio, which is called the Church, right, you know. Yeah. So it was all kind of like. Oh, a bit overwhelming. Yeah, I mean, you know.
But she was much misunderstood, I think, with a lot. She took a stance on a lot of things.
Well, she took things she told you. I know that they're well documented, but when that's the person is telling you what happened to her, you can understand it.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, you know, like, and then what she's gone through with her son. I just remember thinking. I think everyone who met her would have a crush on her.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, she's obviously physically she's beautiful, but
as a person,
very similar to Siobhan. You know, the people you meet. Obviously, girls are beautiful, right?
Yeah.
But when you meet girls, there's nothing more shocking than the fact that I talk about every girl, right? Yeah. What fantastic personalities! I mean, girls. I think girls are. I think it's getting better now, but they must be terrible. I mean, I could say to you earlier on, I was worried about my looks. Imagine to be a girl all the time. Yeah. In the music business,
you're on it 24/7,
and you look to your looks all the time. You know.
Here's a question, and probably I don't know if you'd ever get it from a music journalist who's so into the music, but from out of left field, did you love Siobhan?
Of course, yeah. I love her. I mean, I think the thing is at the time, I never spent a night with a girl until I met Siobhan. I never lived in a house with a girl, which I mean, right, you know, so, I mean, you met girls, but in Glasgow, you don't take them back to your parents' house.
No chance.
I took it back to his house first time. I remember we had to take my brothers when they were twins, so we slept in 2 single beds right next to each other. And then in the morning, my Uncle Tommy came in, and he knew I was back, right, and he slapped the bed. He thought I was in, right? Like, you know, is that you back then? It was her, and she jumped up like you know. I remember him being all beetroot red, man, right? You know, right? And then because he would never done that in a million years as a girl lying in the bed, and it's the same. I mean, like, every time I met any of my girlfriend's parents, right, the one thing I'm really aware of is their immense disappointment. I remember meeting Siobhan's mum and dad, and I can remember thinking, I remember meeting my partner Gemma's parents, right, you know, and I remember, and then we've got a beautiful son, right, I remember them thinking, I'm like, what? Do you know what I mean? And I would say this is the general reaction I've had with nearly every girlfriend I've ever had, man. I know I've had that many, man, but
you're still pals with her though, aren't you?
Of course, she's just got to be married recently, you know, me and Siobhan will always be friends. I mean, like, it's like, and our sisters are fantastic too, you know, and we that was our gang at that time, you know what I mean? And like I said before, that's the period of time that really sticks in your head, because I can remember things that really affected me a lot in my life, right? When I was 13, I got the underground from Govan to the West End, right? And I remember thinking, what the fuck is this? Like, you know, there was people sitting on doorsteps with guitars, man, like, I mean, I came from Govan, like, you know, like, I mean, you're talking Govan team and skinheads and Crombie coats and, you know, like, and gang violence in school. And then to go, and I wasn't quite at secondary school yet, I was just get in there, right? And walking around, which I'd had anything of my own, like, you know, walking around the West End. And one of the places I walked by was where I live now. And I remember when I went to buy a house and walked down the street, it all came
flooding back, yeah.
And then to live there now is like, I mean, I wouldn't leave there if I could, you know.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was again the Bluebells, when we thought, oh fuck, we're going to get there, right? And then I remember like going down to meet Siobhan, right, on our first kind of proper date. You know, she came on a bike with this kind of like flowery dress on, 2 pigtails, man, right? And we went round Holborn, and then she took me up to the flat where she lived with the girls like the monkeys, three bedrooms in a row, man, right? And I remember sitting in the room, right, and our boyfriend come and champed the door, this guy I knew, right? I don't want to mention it, we're good friends. And he said, have you seen what that fucking dick's saying about you in the paper, in the smash hits? And she's going, yeah. And he goes, and then I heard him saying, going, am I coming in? And she goes, oh, I thought you should come in just now. And he goes, is he fucking in? And then meeting him in the pub, the Princess Elizabeth, three nights later, and he tried to fight me, right? And we're pals, right? You know. And I was trying to think, oh God, man, I was honestly, she told me you were split up, you know, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then about 5 weeks later, he's got out with Karen. And he was in the next room.
Just working his way along Bananarama.
And we're in the room, right, you know, like, and then, you know, like, we're all good friends. I mean, but these are things that stick in your mind as comedy sketches, you know what I mean? Like, you're thinking, this is totally surreal, you know? I mean, the thing is, this isn't top of your life, but these bits, because people know who they are, that's the people refer to, right?
Yeah.
But then you go through, there's other fantastic things happen in your life but I know the secret of this business is you've got to tell, it is entertainment, right? So Siobhan does it, you know, like Dave does. Dave Stewart, one of the most brilliant people you've ever met in your whole life, right? One of the most complicated, loving, warm people you'll ever meet, right? You know. And I'm used to get, I mean, I've been to 2 of his weddings, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I went to the wedding with Siobhan, right? I mean, because there's never a badness, there's never a badness between us, there's never I'm friends with all my girlfriends, I hope.
Yeah.
Right? Girlfriends, well, probably not all of them. but what I mean is, but you remember, I mean, how can you not love them anymore? I mean, it doesn't mean you're in love with them anymore, you know?
The funny thing is, sometimes there's a moment in life where you know, you might lose someone. You mentioned the loss of your mum and dad, but something that makes you unbelievably sentimental, nostalgic. When you think about the times that and the things that you've done and achieved, do you make a point of getting in touch with them? Do you say, come on up to Scotland, come up and...
Well, that's how it happened to Siobhan recently, because her son was playing, her and Dave's son was playing in Glasgow, has got a band called Low Moon, you know, and so when Dave first played here, Dave said, look, Sam's in town, go and see him, right, you know, and then this time I knew he was coming So I said to Siobhan, are you coming? Because she's in LA now. I think she's back in LA, and she was saying, no, but I'll get him to phone you, you know, right, when he's in Glasgow. So, but then we were talking, I knew she'd been married. I wrote saying, I heard you get married again, you know, like, congratulations and blah blah blah. So it's just things like that. I mean, it's like me, Siobhan could still have fights, but of course as well, man.
Yeah.
You know, right, but I still reserve the right to do that, man. You know. We took her to see Texas at the Royal Albert Hall. You know, right? And we had a fantastic day, you know, really great day, you know, and they're big friends, you know, obviously Siobhan and Charlene are big friends, and Johnny, you know, it's our gang, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I guess it's like if you know, if Neil's in Newcastle, he's going to see Alan Thompson, do you know what I mean?
It's absolutely.
That's your gang, you know.
It's not a bad gang to be in, by the way, Bobby, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just before we finish, obviously from my own point of view, I look at, you know, that tidal wave of success, then writing songs for other people, working with people you admire. What's motivating you now? I know the Bluebells, you know, all of a sudden back together, albums out, May there, and
the motivation is two things: money, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But love. I mean, I love Ken and David. I mean, I'm getting to the stage now, like, I'm quite happy to say it, man. Like, you know, I love Johnny. Do you mean I love the people, you know, who helped me. I mean, this is. You look at a beautiful house, right? This is your business as well, right?
Yeah.
So you have to love what you do, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the people who help you do it, you got to love them, man, right? Because I mean, no matter if you don't notice it, they're always loving you back.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you feel as if you're giving them something back?
Absolutely. I mean, me and John meet every day we can. Do you mean, like, me and Ken and David, we've got families, you know, kids. We see each other. I guess what the band makes us see each other.
Yeah.
And when we're back together as a band, it's instant communication. You know, like instant.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you feel as if it was yesterday, 1984.
Well, we know we're singing together and we play. We know we're good.
Yeah.
And we know that they can do this without me and vice versa.
And can I ask you this about the songs?
Yeah.
The great songs that you've written.
Yeah.
Now that you go back and you're now an older, wiser man, and it's almost like somebody, you know, if the ball drops to Michael Laudrup and Henrik Larsson, the touch never leaves you. Yeah. So has it changed so dramatically now that you know the moves to do to write a song? What's the difference now? Are they?
Do you know what? It's a good point. We talked about this a while ago, right? But there's the only way you can do it is not to think about it. You know, and the minute you think about it, it's like. The great thing about you've got this set up here, I've got one in my house. It's like we just did the record with Skin actually, and we did it. We played golf together a lot, me and Skin, and we were talking about all these old songs that we liked when we were growing up. The songs that were Scottish songs. I remember I used to have my daughter, right. I would write down every band that I thought was Scottish, right. I'd even put in people like Ian Hunter, who lived in Hamilton.
Yeah, Mark the Hoople.
You'd put in Martin Knopfler's, and you'd put in Rod Stewart even, right. You'd put in who's the other, Jeff Towles, right? You know, like, anybody just to make. And you thought, are they Scottish? What the hell, man? Right? You know, like AC/DC. Wow, there. You're right. Just because you wanted to be part of that kind of like index, man. You know, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so we were talking about that, and I thought, and then we'd go home and we'd be listening to people like Grant Stott, and I remember one time he played Arms of Mary, right? And I'm thinking, it's one of my favourite songs I've ever. I remember when I was at school, that was one of the songs that I wanted to make me play the guitar, right? So I went home and started recording it, and then me and Graham had talked about doing a couple of other things. So we started thinking, let's just do an album. Let's write down 12 songs. One of them was Black Eye Boy, believe it or not, man. I didn't mean to do it because I did it right. We did Poor Old Soul because I love Edmund, as I said. We did Catch the Wind, one of Skin's favourites.
Wow.
Donovan, right? We did Wild Mountain Tide with the Birds. And we did Why by Annie Lennox because I knew her when she did that, and I thought, what an incredible song. She wrote that all by herself. So that's a great. I love Gallagher and Lyle. We did Jim Diamond, which I've always loved. I should have known better, right? You know. Yeah. So we did Heaven by David Byrne because he was one of the guys who wrote the book as being Scottish because he was born in Dumbarton and lived throughout his life. Do you know what I mean? Right, you know, right.
But you've rhymed off about 9 or 10 people there that have come into. I mean, Grant Stott's a good pal, but you've rhymed off about 8 or 9 people there that I've been lucky enough to meet, and again, it's that sense of pride. But you still haven't answered the question. So what about writing the songs now?
Again, it's this. We did the Bluebells album. One of the songs was called "Daddy Was an Engineer," right? And that came about because, go back to Ruben again, my boy, right? He came home from school and goes, "Dad, we've got to write an essay about what your job is. I've what our father's jobs are. So what's your job?" And I was going, "Well, I'm a songwriter." He goes, "Right, Dad, what's your job? What's your actual job?" And I was going, "Well, no, come on, you've got to have a job," but like all angry, right, right? And I remember thinking, I don't know what my job is, and I've never had a job. So I mean, I don't know what to say to you, right, And then I said to him, my dad was an engineer, but my daddy, right, right. And as soon as I said the words, my dad was an engineer, I thought, oh, that's a song title, right away, right. And then I literally left him standing there, up and got the guitar, and wrote the song right probably from start to finish.
Brilliant.
That way. I think a lot of people write songs like that. Yeah. I mean, like, so once you get a phrase in your head, it's like my friend Colin McCready was over today, right? I've got my guitar set up, and he used to be in a band, Colin. He's playing the first song he ever wrote, only song he ever wrote. He said it was really good, right? So then I took the guitar from him, and I just started to make up, just playing chords while I was talking to him. He goes, "Oh, that's really good." I goes, "What is that?" I goes, "I don't know. I'm just playing some chords." Now I'm going to have to go home and think, what's I playing there?
Yeah. Do you get a buzz from that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes I'm not really I'm never really in awe of anybody. I'm always appreciative of the fact that their talent, and it's great to meet them. I get a buzz out of the fact that you meet them, you get wee stories from them, and you go away and you think, that's the buzz.
You've hit it on a nail. So me and James Grant have got a songwriting thing we do in Town of Brook, and these 12-50 people come to write a song for the first time, or they are songwriters, and in fact Graham's just joined us as well, and it's amazing how shy they are, right? But the minute they play the song, you go, "That's really good." You can see the confidence. All people really need is a validation, right? Like it's someone to say, "Oh, that is good." Because one thing about all artists I've ever met is their insecurity. Right? Me and Dave got on really well, I think, because David played me something and I go, "That's really good," and vice versa. Because you need to have something. Johnny's great at that. Johnny, back up from Texas, he's really good at knowing the bit that I've done.
Yeah.
He needs. Like the bit that'll make their song better, right?
The bit of the jigsaw.
Yeah, and that's a great encouragement as well. Dave's really good at that, But Dave will tell you things like, what happens to all the people he knows, your George Harrisons, and they forget how to write a song because they're trying harder and harder each time because they forget how easy it is. Just do the D, G.
Yeah.
And I'm never scared of the D, G, or the easy bit,
Well, that's
also when people say that sounds like something, that actually encourages me. And I remember reading in a book, I think it was Paul McCartney probably, and he said, if anyone said to me that sounds like something, I would go, good.
Yeah.
I'm already half the way there. Then if they think it sounds like something they already know, then that's
the magic potion.
That's a bit of, don't change it. That's the bit you keep.
Yeah,
and that says something. Keep that bit.
And that's why I love guys like yourself. You mentioned McCartney. I love the songwriters. I love the people who can pick up the guitar and the melody and keep it there and understand the process. And as you say, you've rhymed off so many great Scottish people, and of course, Siobhan and David. Stuart from Eurythmics. It's brilliant, Before we go, I always like to. When I said this to Skin, by the way, this is God's honest truth, right? I said to Graham Skinner, 5 favourite songs.
Wow, it's quite hard.
Now, it is a hard one, right? And it changes.
Yeah.
So he comes up with 5 favourite songs and then texts me and says, by the way, can I change them?
Yeah.
To which I replied, Graham, fuck off.
Oh, you have to do it instantly. I think it's a good way to do it. Right enough, you said, my first thing came in my head was Hot Love by T-Rex, right? And I would go back to that period of time when you under the covers in your house with Major Luxembourg on with the headphones on, and the songs that really
got you.
Another one was Hot Chocolate, I Believe in Love, right? No one knows that song, but every time I hear it, right? The other one was The Pie, Southern Brothers and Quiver, right?
Right.
These aren't big, fantastic hit songs, right?
Do they mean something to you?
Well, what they mean is that stirring, right? The other one would be Blue Boy, because, by honest, just because that really made me want to make a record, you know what I mean, right? And then the other ones that you'd have to go. I mean, you'd have to start thinking about, you know, I'd have to go for an Italian song, which is by a guy called Droopy, you know, right, and Vado Via it's called, right, because we went out there every year on our holidays.
Yeah.
My mum's Italian, and Italian songs are just the most fantastic, and that one will take me right back. I can smell the beach, I can smell the suntan lotion, I can smell this, I can taste the sand in my hams. Well, that's mozzarella sandwich. I can remember trying to pack up all the stuff and getting the bus back to our town, which is way up in the hill. And I can remember being sunburnt, and all because as soon as I hear that song,
you're transported back.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about songs, is they take you. They're like little time capsules, you know what I mean, you know.
I'm going to listen to that song. I'm going to listen to the 5 of them. That's your 5. Right at the very end, you're in the car, you're driving, and you've got 3 people, living or dead, that you take in the car with you. Now, you could be going down the west coast of America, across the 500 in Scotland.
People I've never met before, you mean?
Or people that you have met that you want in that car with you.
Well, in the car, I'd put my girlfriend and my boy in the car. I mean, but you mean something wider than that, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the thing is, it's a hard one, because, like I said to you before, like, see, famous people, right? There's no point in meeting them. Like, what you have to have is a relationship with them, right? Because they aren't going to tell you anything.
Yeah, but is there someone
autograph? I mean, right? You know, or be in the same room, or the selfie culture, which is going to destroy it.
But I'm looking at personalities, right? I'll guide you by the 3 that I've got: McCartney, Obama, and Reese Witherspoon, right? So Obama's going to. The stories will be unbelievable.
Will they tell you the stories?
We're in a car for 10 hours.
Oh, for 10 hours.
We're driving the car. I'm now moving the parameters for you, right? We're in a car. Obama's there. McCartney's going to write a song about it, and Reese Witherspoon is such an intelligent woman that people just see other things. You know, they see the Legally Blonde, but they don't realise that she's put together a whole production company for the betterment of women.
Basically, I would definitely pick Yoko Ono, I think, for one, right?
Right.
I think I might just pick all girls, man, like, you know. I picked Frances Hardy because I really fancied her. Crazy, right? And then, if you're going to go, I mean, down, I mean, I would. Someone like Nico, you just have to pick just because of the accent, but more importantly, of all the people. I mean, she probably. I've met Nico. She used to go out with a guy from Scotland, actually, you know, in a band called the Scars. But I never spoke to her. I mean, she was just there. I mean, but I'm thinking. I mean, but it's a hard one. I mean, 10 hours in a car. I mean,
is that your 3?
I would maybe change Nico. I'm trying to think who else I would. Yeah. Who else I would go for in that field. I don't know. I think someone like someone like Kelly MacDonald. I think, you know.
Yeah, good shout.
You know, and I know her a little bit, but she's probably got amazing stories to tell, and she's a great personality. You know.
Yeah. It's not a bad way to finish. But before you go, Bobby Bluebell, how would you like to be remembered?
Oh God. I know it's a question that's been occupying my mind lately at the moment, man. But I don't know. I just want. I mean, you want your family to love you. I mean, like that sort of stuff. I mean, I think that's such a hard question. You know, I don't know how. I don't know. I think people have got to form that. I mean, thing is, you're a tiny little speck in this thing. I mean, I'm not going to be up there with your Edmonds and your, you know, and people who I would. I mean, I'm like. Even my colour people, I know who my heroes are. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I think it's like I'd like my friends to think I was a good friend. That would be the best way. I mean, I tell you, what was really great for me is like, there's Neil Lennon, right? Become really good friends. What I mean, you won't believe people like Frank McAvenny, people you've watched play football, right? What fantastic people they are. I mean, you get the way they act with other people, right? You should see him. There's no one he hasn't got time for.
Yeah.
You know, like, and Frank, like, they're so gentle, and you can see the fact that his boy's such a great. His partner Irene's such a. I mean, there's what we all try to come from is a loving background. I mean, like, you know, like what we're trying to reflect. I mean, you want your
maybe that's the connection, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you want your people to think, well, he was proper. I mean, he was courteous and polite, and it's dead hard to be that way, right? Yeah. You know, right? I mean, being a fanny is all part of the equation, man. Right? I reserve the right to be a fanny sometimes or say the wrong thing, man. Right? But I don't mean to, and I don't want to be that guy. I mean, look at Skin, what a brilliant, fantastic, lovely guy. I mean, Ken and David, you should get them on.
Yeah.
But I mean, but people we're all talking about. We can fall out and have bad days or moods, but deep down inside, you know that I tell you, it's a great thing for that golf.
Yeah,
you know, golf teaches you to have good manners. You know, 4 hours or something. You talk about being in the car. You could walk around a golf course with people for 5 hours. You really get to know them then.
Yeah,
you know, and it's a great thing.
If I was golfing with Neil for 4 hours and had to listen to him, I'd probably beat him with the driver. I'm only winding you up.
Beating the golf.
No, exactly. Listen, if you're talking about a labour of love, today is one of those days.
Thanks, Peter.
Bobby Bluebell, absolutely magnificent.
If I show around your house, by the way, too.
Top man.
Fantastic. Don't forget to give me some of that stuff when you're going, man, right, you know.